What happened in Canada is awfully depressing.
It was my way of doing things, my way of having an impact, and it turns out I was pretty good at it, and I am pretty good at it.
I said the other day that I don't go to Canada anymore. I'd rather go to Russia. I do not go to Canada anymore, but it's because of the government.
Let's talk about possibly leaving Canada. Why should we stay here?
There's only one problem with thinking everything's better in Canada. It's not.
Canada isn't collapsing. It's convulsing, bleeding out on the economic floor. While politicians debate whether to pull the plug, 1 in 4 Canadians are now living in poverty. Half of young Canadians say they'll never own a home. And more Canadians than ever just left the country. Not for vacation, for good. Last year, the federal government spent 61% of the entire GDP just to keep the corpse twitching. A recession's already forming. They expect economic growth to nosedive as early as next quarter. Rents are unpayable. Groceries are insane. Healthcare is a lineup into next year. You didn't fall behind. You got trapped. They built the cage with policy and locked the door with debt. And now the dream is dead. You don't build here, you bleed here. You borrow, you beg. And if your kid's lucky, they'll rent a 400 square foot box in the sky with no equity, no land, no future, and no way out. This isn't bad luck, it's math. And I'm going to show you exactly how Canada, the richest poor country on earth, turned its wealth into a weapon against its own people. First, we'll open the body and name the real cause of death. Not inflation, not immigration, policy. Second, the 3 internal failures that bled the country dry, while politicians pointed at growth and called it success. Third, how to step out of the trap while most people are still waiting for help that isn't coming. Let's call it what it is. Canada is rich, but the average Canadian is broke. We're the 4th richest country in the world in natural resources. That's not me saying it, that's from the World Bank. But we live like renters in our own economy. No equity, no leverage, no way forward, because we're not in a recession. We're in a managed decline, one designed to look polite, sound progressive, feel inevitable, but under the surface, it's economic self-sabotage. This isn't a downturn, it's a decision. So what actually happened? Let's start with the most uncomfortable truth in the whole story. This was a choice. We didn't fall off a cliff. We walked off it, clapping for the people who pushed us. Canada had a chance to build a future. We had the energy, we had the workforce, we had the leverage, but we chose to bury all 3. The result? A country that can't house its own people, can't move them around, can't serve them when they're sick, and can't afford to feed them without a coupon. It's not because we ran out of resources, it's because we refused to use them. We chose ideology over infrastructure, narratives over numbers, and now you're paying the price. In every grocery aisle, in every mortgage payment, you've been told this is global, that Canada's just caught in the storm. But the truth is, we built this storm ourselves. Housing collapsed because we added millions of people. With no plan to house them, groceries exploded because we blocked the supply chains that feed us and taxed the energy that moves them. Healthcare broke because we overloaded it without expanding capacity. Transit died because we killed the budgets that kept it alive. This wasn't drift, this was direction. They told you to tighten your belt, while they padded their budgets with billions. And the worst part, they told you to be grateful for the wreckage, grateful for a $500 rebate after an $85 billion mistake, grateful for a doctor you'll wait 30 weeks to see, grateful for a housing lottery you'll never win. Meanwhile, they were sitting on the answer the entire time, a resource base worth over $33 trillion. Oil, gas, minerals, power, enough to build generational wealth, lower the cost of living, and actually fund the services collapsing around you. But instead, they blocked it, taxed it, banned it, and told you it was for your own good. Now here's the line nobody wants to say out loud. We are the 4th richest country in the world in natural resources, but we live like a nation begging to enter the 3rd world. Billionaire country money, dollar store living. In 60 seconds, I'm going to show you exactly why that decision was made and how it's not about the environment. It's about keeping you dependent. What I'm about to show you is so broken, it almost looks like sabotage on purpose. Let's start with the biggest myth in this entire story, that Canada is broke because the world is broken. Nope, Canada is broke because we buried the one thing that could have saved us, energy. We are sitting on over $33 trillion in oil, gas, minerals, and hydropower. But we chose not to build, not because we couldn't, because we wouldn't. Pipelines were blocked, projects canceled, investment chased away. And now We import oil from countries with weaker standards, dirtier production, and worse human rights records, just to protect the illusion that we're virtuous. Meanwhile, every other cost in your life goes up. Because when you crush energy, you crush everything that relies on it. Groceries, shipping, transit, construction. It's like burning the bridge and then blaming the traffic. They called it sustainability, but it wasn't, because it didn't sustain you. It sustained the narrative, the optics, the illusion. But when you tax your own economy into the ground, you don't end up with clean energy, you end up with no energy. And the lie goes deeper, because we're told we don't have money for housing, for schools, for transit. But Canada didn't go broke. We made ourselves broke by ignoring the leverage that could have changed the game. Other countries took their energy wealth and built sovereign wealth funds. Norway used oil money to build a $1.6 trillion surplus. That pays out real dividends to citizens. Meanwhile, in Canada, we borrowed to build bureaucracy and taxed the resources that could have made life affordable. And when prices spiked, we blamed global markets instead of the fact that we sabotaged our own supply. The next time you hear a politician say, "We're all in this together," ask them why we're the only G7 country that taxes its own production more than its imports. That's not sustainability, that's self-sabotage. And it didn't stop at energy. Because while we stalled out on building pipelines, we also opened the immigration floodgates. The population grew by over 6.6% in just 2 years. That's more than 1.2 million people added in 24 months. But no housing plan to match it, no infrastructure expansion to support it, just a government hoping nobody would notice that growth on paper. Doesn't mean progress on the ground. Immigration isn't the problem. Bad planning is. You can't flood a city with guests and forget to build chairs. And if you live in Toronto, you already know what that looks like. Transit delayed, schools overcrowded, clinics booked out months in advance. That's not generosity, that's negligence. And the same thing happened in every sector. We created pressure without adding capacity, and now the system is bursting at the seams. But the people in charge still call it progress because they're measuring GDP, not your ability to live. Here's what they won't say out loud. This version of Canada, it was built to look productive, but feel impossible. When you have one of the most resource-rich countries in the world, and you can't afford groceries, that's not bad luck, that's poor design. We chose to bury our leverage, and when the bill came due, we had nothing left but slogans. This wasn't a downturn, it was a full retreat from reality. And the cost is now on your back, because in Canada, the more they preach progress, the more you pay for it. The next time someone tells you this was unavoidable, ask them how you end up starving in a kitchen full of food, because that's the truth about this place right now. We didn't run out of resources, we ran out of courage. So what now? That depends on one thing. Are you still waiting for this to fix itself? They're waiting for rates to drop, for prices to cool, for the system to come back online. But what if it doesn't? What if this version of Canada, the one where you can't buy, can't build, can't breathe? What if this is the plan because people who are waiting aren't moving? They're stuck in maybe next year mode. And that's exactly where this system wants you. Locked in place, just hopeful enough to stay quiet, just broke enough to stay stuck. But the truth, if you want to escape this trap, you can't wait for help that isn't coming. You need to see this place for what it is, not what it used to be or what it promised to be. What it is, a country with insane potential and collapsing outcomes, a place that could be one of the wealthiest on earth, but chooses not to be. That's not your fault, but what happens next? That is your responsibility. You can't fix the policies, you can't change the past, but you can change how you move. You can get honest about where this is heading. You can start treating this like what it really is, a countdown to the next raise, the next rent increase, the next broken promise, and that clock doesn't care how hard you work. It only cares what you do with your leverage and how fast you act. Because no matter how much you grind, if the ground is broken, you don't climb, you sink. So here's what you do. You stop playing the game they're selling you, and you start making moves on your terms. You don't wait for a better market, you build a better plan. You don't chase perfect timing, you find your timing. You don't ask for permission. You look at the numbers, you look at your goals, and you ask the only question that actually matters. What's my next best step? That's it. Not what's the government doing, not where are rates going. What's my next best step in the world as it is? That's how people win in broken systems. They don't fix the rules, they learn how to move around them. And if you're watching this and you're already thinking about selling or leaving altogether, you're not alone, you're not crazy, you're early. Over 100,000 people left Canada last year. More are planning to follow, and millions more are just stuck, waiting for things to go back to how they were. But if you're here, you already know, we're not going back. So I made something for people like you. It's called the Free Seller Guide, but truthfully, it's built for the 99% of people I'll never work with. Because I'd rather you be prepared and never call me than panic at the wrong time and lose leverage. Inside it, you'll see what I see, what I'm tracking, how I'm helping my own clients navigate this mess. Even if you never hire me, it's yours. Because when the country makes it hard to move, you need to get even better at knowing when to. And that's what this is really about. Not fear, not panic. The people who win in this system aren't the loudest or the angriest. They're the ones who move early, move smart, and don't wait for permission. So ask yourself, are you waiting or are you ready? Because the door's still open, but not for long.
There's only one problem with thinking everything's better in Canada. It's not. Not anymore, anyway.